Hi there. Right, so today I'm going to talk about Satanism, psychosis, or just Satanism and psychosis. I imagine there's quite a bit of crossover. At least there has been in my experience. So yeah, I was gonna figure out some way to script this, and then I thought probably not gonna happen, is it? Really talking about Satanism and not going on tangents. So yeah, let's go for it. Start off with the etymology. Whoa, Satanism coming from Satan, but where does the term Satan come from? I think Saturn doesn't take a genius to figure out. That link makes a lot of sense. So when the old gods, Saturn, I believe, was known as Kronos to the Romans. Who's that? Might be a different god. Anyhow, let's you can look that up. So coming from Saturn, amongst other things, related to Santa, right? There's that. It's quite an easy switch, as in Santa Claus, which would make sense in terms of the fact that modern Christmas is really Saturnalia, or the solstice is a time when Saturnalia was traditionally celebrated by the likes of, I believe, the Romans, amongst others, where it was supposed to be a time of inversion, where masters would become slaves, slaves would become the masters. It was this kind of festival of the upside down. So that makes sense, as that's my main understanding of Satanism, is like inversion. It's like humor. I'm starting to see it as a way of deriving some level of like dark humor from things that would otherwise be extremely traumatic, macabre, morbid, deathly, and hard to deal with. I'm not excusing it, or I'm not a satanic apologist. This is the way that I sort of see things. So yeah, it's a lot of it's about inversions, which can lead to a lot of confusion, or inversions do lead to confusion. A lot of it can be language based. So yeah, there's that. Where were we? The etymology, Santa, Satan. There's a load of other. I mean, Satan is typically. I feel like that's probably the strongest nickname for the devil, in inverted commas, this devilish entity probably doesn't exist in any way that we might be able to comprehend. I would imagine that what we see as the devil, or like a dark force, is really a egregore, a composite of lots of other spiritual entities. And if you look at the etymology of devil, back to front, again, inverted is lived, which might suggest that the devil is actually a composite of disembodied entities and souls, spirits, who are still kind of on the earthly plane, haven't either ascended to heaven or the skies, or gone elsewhere, and thus haunt living beings and make them do gnarly stuff. That makes a lot of sense to me. And yeah, what other names? So you've also got, there's loads of characters, right? I mean, you've got associated with the devil. So Satan, Saturn, Lucifer, Venus, morning star, Lucifer and Venus. I see that as a sort of male-female polarity. Like Venus is perhaps the female devil, Lucifer the male sort of manifestation of that. And then loads. If you look in the Satanic Bible, which I would recommend having a read of it. I mean, I always, especially if you're strongly Christian, because it is wise to not to censor yourself from things, even if you have a feeling that you'll disagree with them. I mean, I found it a very interesting read. A lot of it makes sense, not all of it to me, and anyway, we won't really go there now, but it does. There is a whole page, or a couple of pages, devoted to the various different names of Satan. I won't reel them off, but needless to say, there's a lot. Baal, Beelzebub, two big ones that come to mind. And yeah, it's so part of my psychosis was that I felt like a lot of my again, like friends, acquaintances, family, perhaps just peer group. It's not like I went around making a list of who I think is or is not satanic. It was just like an energy that I felt. Also, this may be me projecting, again, like I said in the last video, things that occur on a global scale into my immediate surroundings. So I do feel like Satanism is a force that is more or less running the material realm, which would make sense as this energy is arguably the I was going to say king, but I don't think it's a gender thing. King, queen, master of the material realm, right? 666 being the number of the beast, according to various people and sources, and also that being related to carbon and materiality, sex as well. In German, 6 and sex, so 666 is sex, 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 which makes sense as sex is like the strongest energy, power in the material world. I've been led to believe, and it makes sense to me, that back in the day, hundreds of years ago, maybe thousands of years ago, spirituality was stronger than materialism, which is hard for us to comprehend. That's to say that like our imaginations and the etheric realm, the spirit realm, had more impact than the material realm, and thus that sex was not the most powerful force on the planet. That has changed. Matter is the strongest thing, to the extent that a lot of people don't believe in anything but matter. That is all they know and experience, and ghosts, demons and spirits are nonsense and fairy tales. Fairies, again, fairy tales has become synonymous with nonsense, whereas fairies are more than likely legitimate beings, or like they exist, we just don't. If you're not vibrating on the right frequency, you're not going to interact with them. Right, plenty of tangents. Where was I? Something to do with feeling like a lot of that energy is what runs this realm, and that's what provides the kind of the darkness in this realm. I don't have any first-hand experience. My only experience with, or like conscious experience with Satanism is reading the Satanic Bible, like YouTube videos and online research, basically. And I'm sure I've come across references in various esoteric books, or like books about esoteric history. And yeah, I think I have actually I've been to quite a few people that I would call, well, at least acquaintances and probably friends they are kind of at least relatively openly satanic. They kind of have that symbolism, or might wear things that evoke Lucifer, or 666, that sort of thing. I think it's very easy to get lost in this, because one of the other somewhat hilarious things is, so a lot of it, like I said, is kind of, it's based on humor. But if you're not careful, you will find that you become the butt of the joke, because which also you should be kind of at peace with, because it is it's a form of atheism, or there is believe it or not, a large percentage, according to some sources, the majority of Satanists identify as atheistic Satanists. So Satanists that don't believe in Satan. Right, which essentially is a way of promoting oneself to the position of God or the Creator, and I'd argue we are all fragments of that. But if you get carried away, then yeah, things will go upside down fast. And I think this is what happens, really, because we're in an environment that is like, intellectually, atheism is more than acceptable. It's like the intellectual norm in the West. I feel like there's a shift now, and has been for a few years, but certainly when I was at school, religion was silly, atheism was intellectual and scientific, and so I see Satanism as effectively sort of conscious atheism, and atheism as some form of unconscious Satanism. And so, yeah, it's lots of people, I think, channel or think they're channeling Satan or the devil or whatever name we're going to give this energy. I mean, I've had interactions with where that's happened. Someone introduced themselves to me as Satan, which I found intriguing. Like, I don't know if I should have at some point, I'm sure I'll have a conversation with them about it, and like, bring it up and see what they say. So it is, I think it's an energy of where am I going with this? That it's like a lack of consciousness on some levels. I think there's a strong correlation with alcohol and Satanism, or just like extreme drug use in general, because in order to do a lot of these very, very dark, satanic like things, I don't think most humans can be conscious and do them. Things you hear about satanic ritual abuse, sacrificing babies and causing a lot of pain and suffering to other living beings. I think that, and I can see how those things, if you had a bottle of vodka or two, then most people under the right circumstances are probably capable of really, really horrific things. So I think there's a link between like alcoholism or getting like blackout drunk or intoxicated on any substance, I would say, not just alcohol. It's unfair to pick that, but that is the substance that the Western world has chosen to build its society, culture around. So this link between kind of lack of consciousness and Satanism, it's the only way that it makes sense to me. And then that you have to link that in with multiple personalities and trauma-based mind control and disassociation and all of these different phenomena. That is this is another interesting thing. So this is a bit of a curveball, but linking it in with NASA. I mean, I don't want to like slander NASA, but I would suggest likely that it is probably quite a heavily satanic organization. Okay, a timer to pick up washing just went off, but I will finish my train of thought, which was talking about NASA tangent. I believe that is a sort of inverted organization. My conception is that exploration of space really means exploration of the deep sea, which is a physical inversion, and that is what is going on there. We'll leave it there now, as I don't think the universe wants me to continue talking about this. So I'm going to see how coherent that last video is and maybe upload it. Alright, bye.